Welcome to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happen every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Carolyn. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at WomensSportsWeeklyPod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Send us an email at WomensSportsWeeklyPod@gmail.com, and we may feature your email on the Listener Experience Zone, the LES. T-shirts are out there.
Finally, I know it was stressing you out big time.
It was stressing me out. I'm so happy that they're in the wild. Please, if you are wearing your t-shirt and take a picture in it and post it to social media, please tag us. We want to show where our Women's Sports Weekly t-shirts are. So thank you for ordering one. Thank you for all the support. We're really excited to see them around town and around the country.
Another exciting thing this week, tomorrow, Thursday, June 19th, we are doing our usual run club, but we're making it a little more exciting this week. In light of Pride Month, we are doing a Pride run. So come on out, meet us at the 99ers Sports Bar at 6 p.m., and we will do a 3-mile run. We hope you will wear your Pride gear. I got to figure out my outfit. I have some ideas, so I'm excited.
I'm nervous.
And then after we run, we will hang out at the bar for a little bit after. As we've said before, if you share a secret word each week with the bartenders, you will get 50% off your first draft. The word this week is pride.
Pride is the word this week. And also this week, we are going to collect donations for Youth Scene, which is a nonprofit organization that provides support to foster and empower the social and emotional well-being of LGBTQI youth and their families. They offer support groups for parents and queer youth and offer training and workshops to organizations looking to enhance their services and support to the queer, trans, BIPOC, and LGBTQ+ community. We will post a link to donate in our show notes, so if you can't make it to Run Club, please consider donating, and we will also have opportunities to donate at Run Club.
Yes, so we hope to see you there in your Pride gear. I'm excited. I hope you're excited too.
I'm excited too. I don't know what I'm going to wear because all of my Pride gear is pretty subtle.
Maybe you should order something.
Okay, I might have to order something. Tell me about your weekend, Danielle.
Yeah, last week I was on work trip and I did not see you for a full week, and that really sucked.
It does stink.
I was telling you when I got home over the weekend that I probably talked about you too much to my coworkers. I feel like I said your name a lot, which I just missed you a lot. So when I got home on Saturday, it was very exciting to see you in Scout, and I was exhausted. We both fell asleep on the couch, which I never take naps during the day. So I was like, I'm tired if I'm falling asleep during the day. It was very nice because I had an early flight home Saturday after a very exhausting work trip. Fun, but tiring. I really enjoyed our little date night on Saturday too, especially after being apart for a week.
Yeah, our date nights are great. We actually took our bike out for our date night, which I love because we have an electric bike that has a seat on the back. So I ride passenger princess, which is different because when we drive, I'm usually driving. But with the bike, you like to ride the bike and I ride on the back. And it was just such a nice night.
Yeah, I get, for some reason, way too nervous being on the back. I like being the one in control of riding the bike. But
even though I ride the bike every day to work.
I know. It's not a you thing, it's a me thing. But it was fun taking the bike out for a date night and just spending hours talking, catching up, and no other distractions, which I love.
Yes. Me too. And while you were gone, what I normally do is I just fill my calendar. So I did a sauna cold plunge night with friends and then went rock climbing one night with friends. And it was good, but I do miss you. On top of me missing you a lot, our dog misses you a lot because she was home all alone all day.
Yeah, it was really cute when I came in. She always gives us, like, if we're away from her, nibbles. Mm-hmm. She was nibbling my face all over when I came in the door, and I just love her so much.
She is perfect.
She is currently sleeping on the couch next to us. She loves when we record because we're just here talking, and she just falls asleep on the futon.
I know. I don't think anything in this world loves the sound of our voices more than Scout.
Yeah.
Like, we might have fans out there, which I don't even know if we can call our listeners fans, but Scout is #1 fan. She could listen to us chat all day long.
Yeah, she's the best.
And I was thinking about it over the weekend. We napped on the couch, which is very rare for us to do. And Scout hops up and she naps on the couch. She's like, oh, moms are napping? I'm napping. And then the first night you were home when we went to sleep, Scout jumps into bed. She starts in her bed, but she sleeps in our bed most of the night. She sleeps in the middle of us so that she's touching both of us.
I woke up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and she was by my feet. So I was like, okay, Scout, go to your bed. She gets up, she comes in between us and lays her half of her body on my shoulder and just nuzzles into me. And I was like, I can't tell her to leave. This is the cutest thing ever. So she got her way and got to stay in our bed because I just thought it was too cute to turn her down.
The love a dog has is just amazing.
I always think we don't deserve her love. Like, it truly is just unconditional and it's the best thing ever.
We could talk about Scout all day. We've said this before, but a third of our conversations is us talking about the podcast. A third of our conversations is us talking about Scout. And then a third of our conversations is us talking about everything else that needs to be talked about in the world.
Very true.
All right, let's get into the highlight reel. What do you have for us, Danielle?
First and foremost, Wimbledon announced an increase in prize money, which we love to see. So if you don't know, Wimbledon is the annual London-based Grand Slam for tennis. And they announced on Thursday that it's increasing its purse, which is its overall winnings, by 7% across the board in 2025. So in total, it's increasing to $72.59 million ahead of the tournament's June 30th kickoff. So what does that mean for the top winners of the tournament? Both the women's and the men's singles champions will earn an amount of $4.07 million, which is an 11.1% increase over the amount won in 2024.
If you were to get a $4 million check tomorrow, what is the first thing you would buy?
Ooh, I don't know. That is a really tough question. Maybe, oh, you know what? This weekend I was struggling with our espresso machine and it won't leave descale mode. I'm having really a hard time with it. So, you know what? I would buy a really nice espresso machine.
Like one of those $5,000 ones?
Yeah, like a really expensive one.
Okay.
And maybe a new house.
Yeah, I'm like, you still have a lot of millions left.
But you said the first thing.
Okay, I hear you.
So right now, what's on my mind is a new espresso machine.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I was thinking I would want to gut our house that we currently have, make it really, really nice, and then buy more homes.
I think instead of gutting this house, I would buy a house right on Wash Park in Denver.
Ooh.
And then buy a mountain house. And then buy a beach
house. Yeah. We're just collecting houses.
So if you see us start buying new houses, you know we've either won Wimbledon or won the lottery.
We definitely won Wimbledon. Do you know that in tennis, there's professional tennis players, they're the Bryan brothers, and they spell it just like we spell our last name. And they play doubles. I don't know if they're still playing because this was years ago, but my sister and I, we were at the US Open and we watched them play, and then we got a picture with them and we're like, we're the Bryan sisters and you all are the Bryan brothers, and they look like exactly alike.
I don't know if I knew that story.
It was cool. All right, next up in highlights, we need to talk about the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame 2025 class. This past weekend, Sue Bird, Sylvia Fowles, Cappie Pondexter, and Alana Beard were inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. So let's just go through these players really fast. Sue Bird played at UConn, and for the Seattle Storm in the WNBA, she won 4 WNBA championships with the Storm, 5 Olympic gold medals, and 2 NCAA championships with UConn, and 4 FIBA World Cups.
Wow.
Quite a resume. Sylvia Fowles played at LSU, and she played for the Chicago Sky and Minnesota Lynx during her WNBA career. She won WNBA MVP award in 2017 and the WNBA Defensive Player of the Year award 4 times. She led the Lynx to win the WNBA championship in 2015 and 2017, and she was named MVP of the WNBA Finals both of those times.
That's amazing.
Cappie Pondexter played at Rutgers, shout out New Jersey, and played with the Phoenix Mercury Mercury for the WNBA. She also played for the New York Liberty, Chicago Sky, LA Sparks, and Indiana Fever, and has 2 WNBA championships with the Phoenix Mercury. And then Alana Beard played at Duke University and in the WNBA for the Washington Mystics and the Los Angeles Sparks. She won a WNBA championship with the Sparks in 2016, and she was the 2017 and 2018 WNBA Defensive Player of the Year. The induction ceremony took place in Knoxville, Tennessee over the weekend, and they also inducted former coach Lucille Cavalos and current Union University coach Mark Campbell, as well as executive Danielle Donahue for her contributions to the sport. So congratulations to everyone inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's an amazing accomplishment.
We have more WNBA highlights. What do you have for us, Dee?
This past weekend, we watched the Indiana Fever give the New York Liberty their first loss of the season, and it was a fun game to watch.
You say fun game to watch, but we do have to point out that we did take a little nap during this game.
This is how exhausted I was. We went back and rewatched the fourth quarter.
We did, because we fell asleep in it, but it was very exciting. We were just so tired.
My exhaustion level was at a very high level.
And you had good reason, but my exhaustion level was just because I was home alone on Friday night and stayed up way too late watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I'm so obsessed.
Which you were supposed to wait for me to watch, so I'm still mad about that.
I know, but Danielle, I had the whole week, and you didn't even watch season 1, so I just needed to bang it out.
You know what? Whatever.
Justice for Taylor. Demi is the villain, and you can't change my mind.
I don't know what you're talking about because you watched without me. Moving into this game, the New York Liberty went into this game 9-0. This is the best start to a season in franchise history. The Fever officially ended this undefeated run, and they beat the Liberty 102-88. Also the first 100-point game for the Fever this season.
Oh, wow. And also no more teams are undefeated in the WNBA.
It was just the Liberty that was left. This was also Caitlin Clark's first game back after missing 5 games due to a thigh injury. Everyone knows it is not easy to admit that you're hurt, especially if you're as competitive as these players are, especially Caitlin Clark. And for her to be able to see what's happening and acknowledge, like, it's the start of the season, I can take care of this now or I can make it worse. So one, kudos to her because...
that takes maturity.
Yes, for sure. So this was her first game back after missing 5 games, and she had herself a day. Caitlin Clark ended the game with 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, so very close to a triple-double. 25 of those points were scored in the first half of the game, so she was absolutely unconscious in that first half. She had 5 threes total, and 3 of those threes were scored in 33 seconds. That took place in the first half. We were watching, and you and I just kept looking at each other like, what is happening?
She just kept going and going and going. And these are not standard threes. They are threes from the logo. If you've watched Caitlin Clark play, you know exactly what we're talking about. But we were like, oh my God.
And she had a hand in her eyes every single time.
Yes.
Like, very close to being blocked and just draining them. And the one shot was in Stewie's face, and her and Stewie had a moment of just laughing down the court because it was so ridiculous that she was hitting these shots.
Yeah, and Caitlin knew it was ridiculous, and I think that's why she was laughing. Like, yep, it's just going in, so you better figure out a way to get out farther because I'm got a hot hand and they're going in every time I throw it up.
And this game was close the whole time. The Fever obviously pulled away a little at the end. Sabrina Ionescu also had a great game in her own right. She led New York and all scorers with 34 points, so she even had 2 more points than Caitlin. The Fever pulled off this win without Dewana Bonner, Dewana Bonner is obviously a very good contributor. She was out for personal reasons. And also important to note, the Liberty were down 2 starters, one being Jonquel Jones due to injury, and 2, Leonie Fibich is playing overseas or was playing overseas during this game. It definitely hurts when you're missing 2 of your starters, but regardless, huge win for the Fever, and it's going to be interesting just to see how games progress as the season goes on for all these teams.
Definitely. It's clear that the Liberty and the Lynx have something great going on, and then everyone else, I feel like, is somewhere in the middle. When we had Kelsey Bailey and Amelia Bainon from Let the Girls Play. I was like, I don't know about the Valkyries. I think they're going to stink this year. They're blowing out the Aces. And what the heck is going on with the Aces? Scary over there, whatever's happening. I'm just so looking forward to the playoffs because everyone is somewhere in the middle.
For sure. We are going to pause now to share an ad for ourselves. Please rate and subscribe to our podcast. We love putting the podcast together and we'd love to continue to do it. We create, produce, and edit the podcast all ourselves. If you want to support us, honestly, simple. Rate, subscribe, give a positive review, and share it with your friends. If you give us a 5-star review and send us a screenshot, we will send you a sticker. Carolyn has ordered more stickers. She's just dying to give away. So you can just DM us in our inbox. Thank you to everyone who already has done this and rated the podcast. We're just thankful for our listeners and just want to keep producing this, and every like, subscribe helps.
And if we've already sent you a sticker and you want to give us a 5-star rating, say you gave it to us on Spotify and you want to give it to us on Apple, send me another screenshot and I'll send you another sticker. We need all the ratings and subscriptions that we can get. So appreciate you and appreciate you listening. Really wouldn't be able to do this without you.
Yes, we would also love the follows on Instagram and TikTok.
Didn't know how important this was until we started the podcast. In order to build and to eventually get sponsorship and to show our worth, we have to show that we have likes, which really goes against every fiber of my being, but we need to promote ourselves, and so that's what we're going to do.
Yes.
All right, let's get into our deep dive this week. We actually, a while back, had a listener ask us to get into sports betting, especially in women's sports. So I want to talk a little bit about that and our feelings about it. But first, to start, what is your relationship to gambling?
I simply don't gamble.
It simply does not happen. Why?
Because losing money is not fun to me.
Yep.
Not having control over what happens to said money is not fun to me. Like, I want to spend my money on things I want to spend it on, and gambling is not one of them. So,
do you ever get a thrill?
No. I've been to Atlantic City a few times, did a few slot machines. Maybe I won $2. Like, once in a while for certain sporting events. If it's a big event, sure, I'll do something along with it, but I don't get a thrill out of it.
Like what? Like you'll do a bracket or...
Yeah, brackets, definitely put money towards that. Or
a pool.
Yeah, things like that, but it's not often. How about you? What's your relationship or feelings towards?
So I have very similar feelings. We're both risk averse people. I tend to spend a little bit more money than you do, but we both don't like make risky decisions. So I don't like the idea of gambling either. Like you, I've been to Atlantic City. I like to play, roulette? But like I'll put $20 on black, and if I hit, I walk away, and if I don't hit, I also walk away. That's it. $20 is my max, and that is it. I don't even know if they have $20 minimums anymore. But I will also join a bracket or a pool, which is gambling. I remember when I was in college, NCAA athletes were not allowed to join any brackets or pools. And every time around March Madness, they would be like, send out an email. Hey, just a reminder, you're not allowed to do this. But those are things that I do enjoy doing. Like I'll put some money into a bracket or a pool, and that is considered gambling. But I was thinking for a while that I should get into betting for women's sports because I felt like I knew a lot about it. But I never did because of that same reason. Like I just don't want to spend money stupidly. I've also learned that if you bet really well on some of these betting sites that we're talking about, they'll kick you off. You're just going to get banned from the site. So if you are listening now and you bet and you think you're a good bettor, you're not if you're still allowed on the site because they don't allow good bettors to stay. So I wanted to bring up this topic because when we were watching the French Open, the announcers were talking about the lines for each game for every single match. They spent an incredible amount of time talking about betting. And I was like, this is so strange because they were acting like it was normal and that everyone was a part of it. And I was like, this is just so interesting that sports is moving or has already moved in this direction of if you are a fan, then you're also betting on it.
Interesting.
And I think there's such a distinction. Like, we are fans and we do not bet.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about this. Today, sports betting is legal in 39 states and the District of Columbia. So no longer do you have to go into a casino in order to make these bets. You can just download an app like FanDuel or DraftKings, things like that, and just start making bets. Estimates are that online sports betting companies are taking in around $15 billion in 2024, and that 37.6 million people bet online in the United States.
Where did we go wrong? We could have just thought of this idea.
I know, hosting bets. Yeah, that's actually probably a great idea. But let's break this down a little bit more, because about 3 in 4 bettors are men.
That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
I feel like men in general more so risk takers. And we had mentioned we're risk averse, so we're not going to put our money in a risk situation. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah. So as of 2024, the largest demographic of sports bettors falls between the ages of 25 to 34. So people within our age range. I'm still hanging on to that age range at 34. But like I said, now you can bet on your phone, and these companies, they start you off small and they offer incentives like make a $5 bet, and if you win, you get $250. So it's like a small buy-in, and then you just get that dopamine hit if you hit, and you just keep going. Or if you lose, there's this point of I have to make that back, and so you just keep going and going. I also found that one study showed that for every $1 spent on betting, a household puts $2 less into investment accounts. So it is affecting families and people. As you can tell, we're not like big proponents of sports betting. Maybe we should have someone on who could tell us more about it, but I honestly don't think it's very good for people to do. And I think the effects that it has on young men in particular, I think is really, really scary. Personal bankruptcies go up. Economists have found that legalizing sports betting increases the risk of a household going bankrupt by 25 to 30%, with the risk highest among young men living in low-income counties. So just by legalizing sports betting in your state, household bankruptcies go up 25 to 30%. Bad debt rates also go up, and domestic violence increases, which That's is also really sad. Worrisome. But you think about it, like if I were to lose a bet, not that I would hit you, but you're in a bad mood. If you're losing money, you're in a bad mood. And then you go home and you're with the people who are closest to you. I don't know. You could see how that could happen.
For sure.
So doing this podcast is very interesting, because once I tell people we have a women's sports podcast, you sometimes just get unsolicited advice. But also recently I had someone found out that I really liked women's sports, and he was a guy, and he was like, you know, if you want men to watch more women's sports, and I'm like, never said that. But sure, keep going with your sentence. If you want men to watch women's sports, there really needs to be more like sports lines for them, because some things you can't bet on in women's sports. And I'm like, my response was, I'm actually really worried about the state of men betting on not just women's sports, but all sports in general. Like, I don't think it's a great thing to do. And I think the amount of betting that is happening among young men is really scary and concerning. And also the reason why there aren't always lines for sports is because the people who make the lines aren't knowledgeable enough about women's sports.
Interesting.
So if we want more lines, which I'm like, do we want more betting lines? I don't know. What is your feeling about that? Is it a way to get more people to watch women's sports?
It's hard because I'm not in that mindset. I don't bet on sports in general. So for me, that doesn't draw me in. But I guess if that draws people into sports in general, I think about fantasy football, and a lot of guys will watch more games because they're invested in players from different teams. So maybe that's like kind of the draw there. But it's just hard for me as a non-bettor to truly understand that.
I want to talk about this a little bit more, because I also think that betting, so it's interesting, like it's a group of predominantly young men betting who are at risk of losing money, and then they're betting on women's sports. And this group of men also has a tendency to have higher harassment rates of people online. And we're going to get into this, but how men speak to women, especially women's basketball players online, is like very different than how they will speak and abuse men's basketball players, although it does happen. But it's just like a lot more targeted and sexualized and disgusting. So all of these things, I'm like, do we need more sports betting lines? And yes, I want more people to watch women's sports, always. I don't think we need to do any convincing for people to watch women's sports at this point. Like, the product is out there. All we need is the product to be shown more, and people will watch. So I don't think that it's like a thing that we personally need to do. I think it's like more of a systemic thing that needs to happen. And honestly, I would really like for more women to be watching women's sports. I think that is the market that we can grow more. because sometimes, and I'm not saying all men, but sometimes men can make things worse for women. Are you not going to agree with that? My brother-in-law says that sometimes I'm a little patronizing. So I want to make this clear. Some, not all men. Some men make it worse, right?
Yeah.
What's your hesitation? Let's talk about it.
You said some men, so I just don't want to fall in the bucket of grouping all men together, because we know a lot of really good men who do not do that. But
we know that we have 10% of our listeners are men who listen to this podcast. Yeah. So we know.
So we're not talking about you.
Yes.
But yes, there definitely are men out there who make it worse. I agree with you.
I guess my concern is men who are betting on women's sports and then watching women's sports. I'm like, are those the exact people that we're trying to target more?
But we do have a friend, I won't say his name, who bets on women's sports and is a very good man and actually enjoys watching women's sports. So it's funny because I have him in the back of my mind when we're talking about all this, and I'm like, he is the exact opposite of every single thing we're talking about here. And I know you pulled real stats, so it just goes to show that not every person who falls in the betting realm falls in these categories. So just putting that out there as well.
I don't know if I have a fully formed opinion on this yet. It's kind of like a wait and see, but let's get into some of these stats. So the NCAA released a report after the 2024 March Madness tournament. They hired an AI company to look at 1,000 Division I men's and women's college basketball players, 64 teams, and more than 200 coaches and 120 game officials during March Madness. So they were looking at posts and comments related to the players, the teams, the coaches, and the game officials. 4,000 posts or comments were confirmed to be abusive or threatening during March Madness.
It's disgusting.
The NCAA said the data showed women's basketball players received approximately 3 times more overall threats than men's players. So men's players are definitely receiving threats and abuse as well, but women were 3 times more likely. So this kind of goes back to my point of, okay, we want to put sports betting in, but is it just going to increase the abuse? So the NCAA is actually trying to ban sports books from offering prop betting on college players. So prop betting is like the over-under on players' points or rebounds, which I really agree with, because I feel like younger people are more vulnerable. One, I don't want them to get abused or threatened. Yeah. And so that's happening. And 2, I do think they're more at risk for being influenced. Like if someone were to say, hey, I'll give you $3,000 if you miss a foul shot and don't go over this many points. Like I do think
that's such a good point.
That they are a little bit more vulnerable to that because they are younger and their brains aren't fully formed. So I really support that, them not doing prop betting on college sports. And I think that's where the nasty comments come in, where we've seen people post before. We've seen WNBA players post before of, stop telling me that I messed up your parlay. Like, it's so annoying. I don't care. Yeah. And so Ohio, Louisiana, Maryland, and Vermont have recently passed legislation banning prop betting on college players, and more states are considering the issue. But it is state by state, and you can download apps that are like not traceable, so you can continue to bet how you want to bet.
There's a lot out there that I just stay away from, but it is obviously not great that they're abusing and threatening players, and I agree with you with the prop betting. Like, we don't need this to be on an individual basis so that more people are targeted in different ways.
This is what I also think about. This is a $15 billion industry.
Yeah.
So do women's sports need to take on them as sponsors potentially and talk like the French Open where they were talking about the lines for each match? Do they need to take that on to cash in, to make more money for the players and for the league?
Yeah, I don't know.
We aren't here yet, but we've had conversations before. If someone wanted to advertise with us, what are our morals and what are our values? And if someone wanted to reach out to us and be like, we'll sponsor you a ton of money to talk about nicotine, would we do it? And all of these things. And I don't know, I would have a difficult time. It would definitely be a moral dilemma, because with the stats of that, like, you're investing less money into your own home every time you place a bet. I don't know. I also feel like betting targets poor communities and keeps people with less money. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
So if you're pro sports betting, please send us a message. I want to know how you do it, why you do it, what's fun about it, because we are on one side of it and we don't have a lot of experience in it. And I know that there's another side to this story, And so I'm not saying that I'm right by any means, even though I know I talk with such passion. I'm not saying I've got it all figured out by any means. So please reach out to us and let us know what you think.
And with that, we will go ahead and tell us what we're looking forward to this week. What do you have for us, Carolyn?
I'm looking forward to the NWSL. On Sunday, June 22nd, the San Diego Wave take on the Washington Spirit at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS Sports and Paramount Plus. These are two teams near the top of the table, and they're right next to each other, so this should be a good match, although 10 p.m. Eastern Time on a Sunday is a rough one.
That is.
What are you looking forward to?
The Women's National Football Conference Championship takes place this Saturday, June 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern. The WNFC is a professional full-contact women's American football league in the United States. Unfortunately, our Denver Bandits are not in it, but it will be the Washington Prodigy versus the Texas Elite Spartans, and you can stream the WNFC for free on the Victory Plus app, so check it out.
Love it. That's it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports and share the podcast with your friends. Rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.